With X-Men Apocalypse opening this weekend, today on Guilty Movie Pleasures, we take you back to a time when X-Men movies weren't so good. By the cinema classic director Brett Ratner, known for such epics as Rush Hour 1, 2, and 3, and that shitty Silence of the Lambs prequel, we bring you X-Men: The Last Stand!
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Guilty Movie Pleasures.
Oh my God. Yes. Cameron, you're just looking at this with such disappointment.
There's a clearance sticker on
There's a clearance sticker on it. Yes, I bought it at 2020 Video. R.I.P.
goodness.
2020 Video. R.I.P. And R.I.P. Brett Ratner's film career after this movie.
Oh my gosh.
Man. So, before we get started with this show,
Yes.
X-Men: The Last Stand,
Yes.
I have to preface everything that happens on this show from this moment forward that I am a huge X-Men fan. I've been reading the comics ever since I was a kid. It was what got me into reading. My parents were like, hey, we'll get our son to read if we buy him comic books. Little did they know that that's pretty much all I would read for the rest of my life. My wife the other day was like, when have you read a book? I'm like,
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I've read graphic novels.
Is that like a graphic novel?
Watchmen counts as a book. It's very dense. So, yeah, now I just pretty much read comic books, and that's about it. But I'm a huge X-Men fan, and anyone who knows anything about the X-Men knows that the Dark Phoenix Saga is one of the most gut-wrenching and just epically dark arcs of the X-Men saga, where Jean gets this cosmic force that takes her over and she can't control it. And at first it seems like a force for good, and then it's a very destructive force. And it ends with Wolverine having to kill her, and it's this really, it just scars Wolverine and Scott from then on, which they already had that little love triangle
Scott got
going.
scarred in this movie.
Scott got scarred in this movie. But this movie takes the Dark Phoenix Saga and just defecates.
Wraps it up real quick.
Over it. Wraps it up real quick. Basically makes the Dark Phoenix Saga just like a side note to Magneto's weird Coachella gathering in the woods.
It really does,
Like,
because you start the movie thinking, hey, Jean Grey's going to be all over this thing.
like she's going to be the main bad guy.
And she's there for maybe 10 seconds. And I think that they used the same shot of her the entire movie, because she has the same facial expression.
She just stood there. They're like, all right, Famke, we just need you for about 3 days on this, and one whole day is just going to be standing there.
Just doing like this thing. And that's it.
And then every once in a while being like, Logan, save me.
Logan.
That's it. Oh, man. Because the problem, I think the reason this movie is so disheartening to fans, including myself, is that X-Men 1 and X-Men 2, X-Men United, had kind of changed. That was sort of the renaissance of comic book movies. Is that
was a big deal.
The first X-Men movie brought superheroes out of the kind of tights and spandex and ridiculousness and into this grittier, more realistic world. And then now Marvel's kind of gotten it back to the more comic booky, flashy stuff. But this was more of a realistic, gritty approach to the X-Men. And it was the first time X-Men had been done live action, unless you count Generation X, the TV movie.
I do count that.
Which you should, because it is canon. It is complete cinema canon for the series. But this movie takes a lot of bad turns. And the hard thing is, when I first saw it, I saw it in theaters with a friend of mine. And when I left, I remember just at the time being just enamored that they had brought Beast and all these.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, that was a fun action movie. I completely just disregarded the bastardization of the Phoenix Saga and everything, and just was like, that was okay. Plus, everybody told me it was terrible, so my expectations were lowered.
Yeah.
Upon rewatching it, we'll get into my different feelings. But when did you see this?
I first saw it in the theaters when it came out.
Yeah.
But being from the Midwest, very different experience with these movies.
Oh, yeah?
People will go from the farmhouse to the theater and go, shit's blowing up! And then that's about it. So I was like, it's great. It's awesome. There's a guy with claws, sure.
Yeah. It's
not
when you, on the surface, if you don't take the gaping plot holes into account, you can really just have fun with the action. But when you
action's really interesting, because I think, and we can get into this in a bit, but like when Magneto is throwing shit around, it's not like this big epic, because sometimes you see like, oh, I'm going to lift the bridge.
I'm just like...
Yeah, he's just like, boom, boom. That's it. I kind of like that. That's
Fuck it, here's a car.
Damn. Smashing it quick.
Yeah, so I guess we just get into the plot in under 3 minutes,
we're going to have to stretch this one out.
Keep rolling, yeah, I think so, because as we talked before, nothing happens till the last 40 minutes, and then it's just a giant battle. that seemingly never ends.
We ready in there, Zach?
Are we ready in there, Zach, for the 3
yes.
minutes? In 5. Oh, we ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we set up a prologue with creepy CGI young Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen.
It's the creepiest thing I've ever seen in my
Super
life.
Creepy. They come meet a young Jean Grey, and they already established that she's going to be hella powerful, and you should be really freaked out by her.
Yes.
Cut to present day.
A kid in his bathroom.
Yeah.
Right? He's 10
Chop-
years later, he looks like he's giving himself his own circumcision, but he's not. He's trying to cut something
And
off
his
his back.
dad's like,
Very
are you
upset. His dad,
masturbating in
What are
there?
you doing?
Nope, I'm cutting off my wings because I'm Angel, a.k.a. Warren Worthington. Cut to
That's it.
another cut to where it's the not-too-distant future, and you think it's this, like, Days of Future Past Sentinel battle.
Yes.
It's awesome. It's Kitty Pryde,
Boom, boom,
Colossus, Wolverine, Storm. All of them are fighting in the danger, and then it turns out to be the Danger Room, which is still a badass reveal. And you're like, this movie's going to be awesome.
That's right.
Nope, just kidding. Because then where do we go from there? I don't
We
even
go
remember.
out of there. Wolverine sees Scott in the hallway, and he's all pissy and
Scott
confused.
basically
and shit.
just whines the entire
And Scott
movie.
just going whines out to the alkaline lake.
Kitty and Bobby might have a little bit
Kitty
of
and
a
Bobby.
thing going on, and
Yeah.
Rogue's getting jealous, and then they find out that we set up that Beast is the security for the mutant defense or some bullshit in the
Secretary of Mutant Affairs.
Secretary of Mutant Affairs,
Yes.
which actually was in the comics. So, anyways,
Yeah.
and he's the right hand of the president. He's trying to get mutants to have a little bit more of a say in the government. And they find out that there's this cure that Worthington
right.
Enterprises cut to Angel in the past.
Yeah.
Worthington Enterprises found this cure in a mutant that can basically cancel out mutant powers. So everybody's just kind of like, oh, what are we gonna do about this? And
Magneto says he has to find Mystique. Mystique
Yes.
is captured in a
Yep.
truck somewhere
Yep.
where she's behind bars, pretending to be a little girl, pretending to be the president, pretending to be everybody.
And then Magneto goes to a church to get other people. He's been on the run.
That's right.
He gets a handful of lame mutants that you
Brothers.
don't care about. Porcupine dude.
Yeah.
I call her Lady Flash, and then androgynous girl. I don't know what her power is other than to look super androgynous.
My God.
And nothing wrong with that. It's just that's her power apparently. And then
That's where Magneto meets.
he gathers all his new Brotherhood of Evil Mutants that you couldn't give a shit about. Then they go free Mystique, free the Juggernaut. Oh God,
Turn
they really
Mystique
ruined the
into
Juggernaut.
a human.
Yep. And then Mystique gets turned into a human, and he immediately leaves her.
Yeah.
And then we meet Madrox
Screwed.
the Multiple Man for about 5 seconds. Magneto's having this big powwow in the woods. It looks like a weird version of
45
Coachella with these tents and the rain. Wolverine goes after him, tries to find Jean because Jean. Oh wait, first
Jean kills Scott!
Jean kills Scott Summers. We forgot that.
God
Jean
damn
kills
it.
Scott Summers. Then Magneto and Professor X go to talk to her. Jean kills Professor X, just obliterates him.
Amazing.
Goes off with Magneto. They're hanging out in the woods. Wolverine goes. Then he has a little emotional thing with Jean Grey. And then Magneto's like, I'm going to get you out of here. And he shoves him through the trees, and that apparently lets him go. Then Magneto's big plan is to go raid Alcatraz Island where the cure is.
15.
He lifts this Golden Gate Bridge. There's a giant battle with these faceless mutants you don't give a fuck about.
10.
And then the 6 X-Men that show up. There's a big thing with the cure. Magneto gets cured. The Phoenix goes
playing
crazy.
chess.
Starts just annihilating, disintegrating everybody. Wolverine kills her. Oh, he's so sad. There's a funeral for everything. And at the end, they're like, where are we going to go from here?
Boom! There it is. Platinum 3
And
minutes.
then maybe Magneto still has his powers, and Professor X transferred his consciousness to that. Which, by the way, the first time you see that does not make any sense.
Wait, what?
So Professor X, early on in the movie, is saying to his students, he's like, now this man is brain dead, and he's on life support. Is it wrong if someone were to transfer his consciousness their consciousness into this person and live in their body? And they just kind of gloss over that. And then at the very end, at the post-credits tag, he's laying there in bed, and Moira McTaggart comes in, and the face of whoever it was in there turns and goes, Moira, and she goes, Charles, and then it cuts out. Did you not?
I did not see
You didn't wait till
that.
the end? Yeah. So they set up that Professor X is alive, but had
I didn't
transferred
think
his.
these movies had post-credit scenes.
He basically
until...
morgued into. Isn't it morgue or what's it called in Game of Thrones? Warged. He
Warged.
warged into this
brand
guy.
his face.
And yeah. So that's what happened, and
Right.
they loosely set that up. But I remember when I first saw it, I was like, "What?
Yeah.
What?" So it's called The Last Stand. They set it up to be
The last movie.
the last movie, but then not really.
Yeah.
Not at all. They cop out on it, and they don't do a good job. So this movie is all kinds of silly.
Can we talk about the faces?
Which faces?
The at the beginning or towards the beginning,
Oh,
whenever
God,
Ian
yeah.
McKellen, Patrick Stewart entering the house, is that jumping too far ahead?
No, that's the very opening scene.
Instantly.
I like the. Is that jumping too far
I
ahead?
didn't know what you were going
to
to say.
the opening sequence.
Well, you were at the post credits.
You're right. I did jump
Is that
too
jumping
far.
too far behind?
We're done. All right. Thanks for listening.
We'll be right back. But
After this
God,
message from Burlington
this
Coat
looked
Factory.
horrible.
Well, it's weird because some shots it looked really good and others it looked just terrifying.
Ian McKellen looked like he looked like Voldemort or something.
It was very weird. It was super unnerving.
I kind of got excited. I thought Harry Potter was gonna pop up, even though I've seen it before.
That would have been better. It reminded me of how jarring it was in Civil War when I saw young Tony Stark and young Robert Downey Jr. and I was like, whoa,
yeah,
what's happening? But that looked really good.
That looked good.
I mean, then again, this was made in
2006.
2006, is that right? I don't have my glasses on yet. 2006.
Yeah.
And man, but this movie starts off promising, even though there's like the super blatant foreshadowing of Professor X saying, "Will you control that power, or will you let it control?" That's more Magneto. Will you control? Nah, fuck it. I'll just go full Magneto. Will you control that power, or let it control you? But that's Professor X. I know it's confusing, but I do a better Magneto. And that immediately is like, well, duh, she's gonna turn into the Dark Phoenix.
Well, shit, yeah.
And I remember how excited I was after X2 when it ends right before the credits with the flame of the Phoenix coming up through the water, and you're like, oh! To me, this is exactly the same problem Spider-Man 3 had, where Venom and the Venom saga should have been its own movie. You didn't need Sandman and Hobgoblin, aka Harry, whatever. You didn't need that. You didn't need any of that stuff. You just needed Venom. That's it. This just needed the Phoenix. This just needed the Phoenix.
This should have been,
just Phoenix. You didn't need all these other extra characters.
Well, especially because you're sitting there and just like, she can do anything she wants.
Yeah.
Why are we still paying attention to Magneto this much?
Well, we'll get to that because the whole ending. So I'd like to go piece by piece. Tell me that the Danger Room scene isn't pretty awesome, though.
It is good. That gets you excited for the movie.
They do the fastball special, which is a huge thing in the comics that Colossus and Wolverine always do the fastball special, where he throws him and Wolverine goes berserker mode and kills the Sentinel or whatever they're throwing him at, and it's so awesome.
Ask for that at In-N-Out, by the way.
The fastball special? What'd they give you?
Very fastly made French fries.
Yeah, it's okay. I thought it was a burger. Then don't eat it because it may not be completely done.
That too.
But then this whole thing with like Kitty Pryde and Bobby, I appreciate it. There's things about this that I appreciate because they do take elements from the comics, but then they try and cram it all in and half do it. That's what's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Like Kitty and Bobby did have a relationship at one point, more than Rogue never did, because Rogue was older in the comics. In the long scheme of things, though,
in this movie, that was so insignificant.
It was.
You don't care about it for one minute.
It was just a way to get Anna Paquin out of there.
Yeah.
It's like they were like, oh, shit, we're bringing in a lot of people, and Vinnie Jones is demanding a lot of money, so we just got to get these people to have as little days as possible.
I read that they did a contract for 2 movies, and so they had to recontract every single person for this third one.
That's why they killed everybody off.
And that's why James Marsden is killed off early, because he only had a few days to film.
Because he was shooting Superman Returns the same year.
With
Bryan Singer.
There it is.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Still bad choice. I would have still stuck with X-Men.
Yeah.
Although Superman Returns is a superior movie to this, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is saying something.
Let's go through they Game of Thrones style kill people off in this movie. They kill off every character
I forgot about that.
Or depower every character you could care about. They kill off Scott Summers right away.
Very quickly.
Who's one of the biggest X-Men characters out there.
I know.
Murder him. And they murder him, and I don't understand.
They don't even show him getting killed.
I don't even understand how Jean Grey kills people in this, because she's like making out with him, and then she like, oh wait, my phone's gone.
Then his skin starts getting weird.
She like sucks his soul through. I don't know what's happening. He's just like, so his skin starts bubbling all strange.
Well, and that's all you see. You never see him again.
Then it cuts back to just his weird 90s style red shades floating, which I
still
know
have some of those.
I know he had red shades in the comics, but the ones in this movie are silly looking.
It's like the ones you wear skiing.
Yeah. It looks, or the ones that like somebody who you'd buy at a truck stop with like the straps on them that you can fling in case you get jerked forward.
That's right.
They hang on your neck.
Or the ones that the
safety straps
people do in your lawn wear while they mow the grass.
Yeah. This that's all you know. That's all that's left of Scott is his sunglasses.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a lame death.
It's very
Then
lame.
Mystique is one of my favorite characters in both movie series.
She's
so fun, and she kicks ass, and that intro to her when she's being interrogated and she headbutts the guy and then swoops around and kicks, and you're like, oh, Mystique's gonna kick ass this movie.
Yeah.
And then it's like, or as soon as they free her, she's gonna get cured, and Magneto's gonna be like, Sorry, you're one of them now.
Sorry, my dear.
Sorry, dear.
And you know,
you're
this
one
is
of
a person
them
who you
now.
want to see. She turns human. You still want to have her be equally as badass in a human way. And the only thing she does is, hey, Magneto's probably hanging out in the woods.
Hey, just the and how did she know that? Was there a plan to go to the woods? And what are these woods?
I don't. Where are the woods?
Well, we're going to go to these woods where no humans go.
Come, my brothers.
The same place the Planet of the Apes go.
We
It's
have a
just
war to fight.
generic woods where bad guys gather.
Cheap filming location.
Exactly, cheap filming location.
Studio backlot.
Somewhere we could go where they don't need to know if we have permits or not, because no one cares. Was Wolverine's hair sillier than usual in this movie?
Yeah, it was off the chart.
It was there's some scenes where it just looks like they just put a wig on.
Yeah.
And it just like it looked like a Wolverine fro in this, like a pointy.
It was.
It was crazy.
It was an afterthought. They
'Cause you-
put it together.
I mean, you can see it in here. Not really, but you get the point. Just look up images.
I also thought that his what do you call them?
His claws looked
I
very.
almost said fangs for the fist.
What do you call these things? These,
they looked a little flimsy to me.
yeah. Well,
For some reason, they hurt me every time he used them.
This and Wolverine Origins. Wolverine Origins looks like Roger Rabbit when he unsheathes his claws for the first time in front of the mirror. It's like, and it just looks like cartoon claws.
Yeah.
And I remember in the theater laughing out loud, and anybody who was a fan of the movies laughing too, because they're like, "What is happening here?"
Yeah.
And I'll never forget. I know I'm getting off topic, but Wolverine Origins. The other thing I'll never forget, CGI wise, is when Gambit's climbing the ladder and Wolverine's just going like this, clearly to nothing. And the ladder's getting obliterated and just going into like just nonsensical chunks, just like, Berserker Rage! And Gambit gets thrown down. Oh, nothing was that bad. That's why we didn't do. We
Wolverine.
talked about doing Wolverine Origins. And in hindsight, at least it may have been a little bit more fun.
Yeah. Well, I had fun watching.
I had a
this
lot of
one.
fun watching this movie.
And I will say, this is my biggest complaint about comic book movies that are going out into theaters now. They're too long. This was the right
This is
length.
brevity. Yeah, brevity
was
is
the
the
right
soul
length.
of wit.
That's
It's
right.
an hour and 44 minutes.
Is that James Joyce?
Sure. Yeah, I think so. The thing is that, though, that even with this short running time, they don't do a whole lot with it. They don't do a lot.
I would like to say it's jam-packed, but there's a 40-minute scene where a bridge is being lifted.
It's a very long sequence.
Unnecessarily.
Beast is one of my favorite characters in this movie. I love Kelsey Grammer.
Who said this is one of his favorite roles he's ever played.
Come on, Frasier as Beast is perfect because
Amazing.
Beast is this. The dichotomy is between it juxtaposes. I just want to keep using big words.
Do it.
It juxtaposes the
Ostensibly.
ostensibly juxtaposes
Yes, I say.
the Beast of his the exterior quality of him as in the animal with his completely. He's always been seen hanging upside down reading.
Yeah.
Poetry, reading English literature and things like that, and just like he's this very learned young beast.
Yeah.
And that was always so cool to me in the comics and in the cartoon, and I think they nail him.
Yo,
and they
he was
even nail
great.
his fights really well too. His fights are fun.
He was
and
great.
He goes full on feral feral cat, and is just messing people up in
Yeah.
the end, and that's a blast. But they don't really do a whole lot other than that with him, you know.
There's not a whole lot of, in general, like, in fisticuffs in this movie.
No.
Just the Beast.
It's so we have when we have the introduction with Quite the Animal. This is when Wolverine meets the Beast.
Oh, yeah.
Can we play that?
Who's the furball? Hank McCoy, Secretary of Mutant Affairs.
Right. The secretary. Nice suit.
Henry, this is Logan. He's Wolverine. I hear you're quite an animal.
Look who's talking.
I feel like there's a little bromance going on there.
A little bit. Why
You
did he feel the need to correct his name?
It's
This is like Wolverine.
Wolverine.
When he introduced himself as, how did he introduce himself again?
Hank.
Hank.
Hank
He
McCoy.
didn't say I'm Beast.
He never calls himself Beast.
Yeah, but he
He's
called
just
Wolverine
Hank
Wolverine.
McCoy. This is Logan. Wolverine. Fuck you, Wolverine.
Wolverine.
Wolverine. I'm
I'm
tough.
Hank.
I'm super tough. Just so you know, I'm the tough guy around here. That's
Yeah.
what they make Wolverine seem like in this moment because he has no reason to be a dick. Because Beast is trying to do good stuff. Hank
Beast
McCoy,
is a
sorry.
nice guy.
He's trying to do good stuff, and Wolverine just comes out just attitude, which
up,
he's known for.
furball?
He's known for it. You know, I believe we were talking about things earlier.
Yeah.
You've said this before.
I have.
Yeah. Can you tell me when again? Because I liked it so much. We
yes.
wasted it before the microphones were on.
I said every morning when I take a shower, I take my pants off and look down and I say,
I hear you're quite an animal.
and then I get in and get clean. And it works out very well.
I remember, I may have told this on the show before in a different iteration, I'm not sure, but I back in the day when I used to go clubbing.
Yeah, I believe it's clubbing.
It's clubbing. Yeah,
Clubbing?
Clubbing is a different thing. That's where you hit people with clubs.
Yeah.
Clubbing is when you go dancing.
Yeah, oh,
and
yes.
I would go dancing, and there was one time where I was trying to get this young lady to dance with me, and I was getting my sweet moves going, and she comes up to me, and she starts grinding on me, and she looks back behind me, and she goes...
I hear you're quite an animal.
And then she starts just slamming into me like super hard.
You did talk about
I did
this.
talk about this. Okay, I did. This is a legit story that just keeps haunting me. I think my groin is still bruised from this woman. So for all you clubbers out there, and I don't mean clubber lang or people that hit people with clubs. I mean clubbing clubbers. You know, just go easy on the butt thrusts. That's all I'm saying. Go easy.
Go easy on the butt thrust.
Hashtag-
easy on the butt thrust.
Hashtag
New album.
Easy on the butt thrust. Yeah.
Write it down.
By Beast and the Animals. Beast and the Animals' new album, Easy on the Butt Thrust.
Easy on the butt thrust.
Yeah,
you know,
I got-
Ben,
I got super weird.
Do you ever get calls on your phone from a number you don't recognize?
Oh, all the time. All the time.
So when this happens, it kind of freaks me out, and I feel like I need to have an aggressive answer. So
Mm-hmm.
every time if it comes up with a number I don't know, or it just says unknown, I answer it and I say,
I hear you're quite an animal.
And that always...
and it proves to be very entertaining.
Yeah. Because that
Most
throws
of the
them
time
off.
ends
That
with
throws them
hanging
off.
up.
And most of the time it ends with...
Yeah. Occasionally PETA answers.
Yeah. Occasionally be... And they're like, actually, no, but we protect animals.
Actually, yes. We're
Actually,
not
we're the
animals.
protection of animals.
Actually, it's Wolverine.
So then, oh man, I don't even know where to go. So this Cure happens, which I like the idea of the Cure so much. Like, not just the band The Cure, because I like that too, but the Cure in this, where it's like, it does bring up an interesting point where somebody like Beast or Hank McCoy, he would want to be cured maybe because his appearance.
We see that.
He's
We see it
shunned.
happen. He
We
tries
see it
to
happen
shun
on a budget.
We definitely see it happen.
Where he
on a
goes and
budget.
visits Jimmy, the boy who has the cure in him because that's his mutant power. And he's like, what does he do? And then he goes up and he moves just close
Nice
enough.
to meet you. Oh.
Nice to meet you.
No, it's quite fine. Also, this is Kelsey Grammer.
Exactly.
This is no longer Ian McKellen, but
Yeah.
we're going to keep going with it.
Yes, it's just I'm never mind. I'm just going to stand back now. That's a terrible Kelsey Grammer, but it's all right. But I think that it's just they didn't have the budget or the time because I imagine getting Kelsey Grammer into that makeup took like a half a day.
Yeah, they're
because
like,
it was
we
pretty
gotta-
extensive. So they're like, his hand turns white.
Yeah.
His hand turns like a pasty white guy's hand.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's
fine.
just somebody else's
It's just a glove.
hand.
We can take it back, put it back on. Remove the
Probably how
beast
they did
glove.
it. That's how they did it. Speaking of Jimmy, we don't spend enough time with Jimmy.
No, we know nothing
He's the
about him.
single most fascinating possible thing you can think of aside from Jean Grey.
Yeah.
And
We know nothing
he's
about
like, all right, you freak. We'll see you later.
All right.
Let me inject some blood from you, but that's about it.
All right, we're gonna weaponize you and know
Yeah.
nothing about your backstory. See ya.
Yeah.
And
Have
then-
fun playing GoldenEye.
Then we go to the mutant meeting.
Oh, yes.
Where it was no humans allowed, and Magneto gives the epic bad guy speech, which of course would sway anyone to his Brotherhood of Lame Mutants in this movie. Can we
absolutely.
play the Magneto speech, please?
Nobody's talking about extermination.
No one ever talks about it. They just do it. And you go on with your lives, ignoring the signs all around you. And then one day, when the air is still and the night has fallen, they come for you.
Excuse me,
It's only then you realize what you're talking about
Don't interrupt
organizing
Magneto.
and committed. The extermination has already begun. Make no mistake, my brothers. They will draw first blood. They will force their cure upon
epic.
us. The only question is, will you join my brotherhood and fight? Or wait for the inevitable genocide?
This is much longer than I remember.
Who will you stand with, the humans or us?
It's still epic. I mean, that
Humans or
the humans
us?
or us.
I'm, by the way, in that speech, I'm the excuse me guy. 10 seconds into this bullshit, I'm going, hey, excuse me, I get it.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I got a funny story about this.
Yeah, please.
Steven.
Is my
Steven's
mic-
in the room,
is my
by the
mic
way.
Holy
on?
shit.
Hey, funny story.
Yeah.
Back in high school, I was 16, maybe 17. You know,
Yeah,
got my
yeah.
first girlfriend, brought her home to the parents, and after she left, she spent the night one night, and the next day my
Your
dad.
parents were in the house and that was okay?
It was fine.
You
yeah,
have progressive parents.
Yeah, very.
But the next day, my dad comes up to me, pulls me aside, and says, "Steven, I got to tell you something." And he said this.
Who will you stand with, the humans or us?
I thought you were gonna say
then you
that
never saw your
he
father
asked-
No, he said the whole thing. Like it was straight word for word that whole speech.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was when it scared the shit out of me. I didn't have sex again until I was like 20.
Well, because it was all about extermination.
Yeah,
I mean, he planted the
witless.
seed that women would exterminate you.
Yeah.
That's a terrible. You should have some therapy about that, man.
I mean, guilty movie pleasures is my thing.
That's your therapy. Good.
You ever go Black Friday shopping?
Uh-huh.
I go every year. It's an insane madhouse.
Oh God, yes.
This past
Every
year I
once in a while I
went
go.
and I went to Walmart and they're open 24 hours at Walmart, and so they plastic wrap everything that they're
Oh, yeah.
gonna sell super cheap at midnight. And what happens? 11:50, everybody goes in there and starts like animals
tearing it
ripping
apart.
it apart. And there's a select few of us standing in a line, waiting 10 more minutes. And I grabbed everybody's attention in the Walmart this year, Ben, and I said, "Hey, everybody."
Who will you stand with? The humans or us?
And I walked away with nothing.
You got a little choked up. That's why it took
Got a
so
little
long.
bit
You're like,
choked up.
who are you
Who are you
standing with?
standing
The
with?
humans
Actually, there was
or us?
some food caught in there with it.
Oh man, Magneto he's such a cool. I mean, Ian McKellen does such a good job of having so much gravitas to a character that doesn't have a ton of development in this movie.
Who just has a helmet.
In the last two movies, he has a ton of stuff going on, and in this one, it's just like they're going through the motions. And Professor X is kind of a dick.
Yeah.
They reveal that he had
He is.
put these blocks up in Jean Grey's mind to stop her from access, and then that formed a separate personality called the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Which they reveal in the comics that Professor X did that to Wolverine, and it's a huge betrayal to the X-Men.
Yeah.
That would have been much more interesting to follow. Is everyone this figure that they idolize finding out this darkness to him that he did manipulate someone extremely, and the fallout of that instead of just martyring him and killing him off and making him disintegrate into like confetti. Everybody
this
disintegrates
scene-
into confetti.
Into
Oh, this
confetti.
scene.
It's
Whew.
like this friggin' scene. He gets lifted out of the chair. He's sitting there like, "Don't do it,"
No.
and he's getting lifted up.
Gene, no, that was
The
Ian
best
McKellen, by
part
the way.
when it says, "Yeah, don't let it control you," and then he turns and does this fucking weird ass smile at Wolverine. He's like, "Ah!" And then he gets exploded into confetti.
That's a big problem with these movies in general, is that they focus so much on Wolverine that they don't give other.
So much
and I
on
love
Wolverine.
Wolverine's
I
my
do
favorite
too, but
character
Christ.
in comics, but they make every movie basically a Wolverine movie plus the X-Men instead of letting everybody else shine. And I think that's what's cool about the newer movies, is that they
I
let
completely
the
agree.
teams. It's all about the teams, and Wolverine makes an appearance here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole scene is just. But we did skip. I forgot
Charles!
we skipped a couple fun little moments where.
Oh, yes.
So there's this big buildup where you think Mystique is going to get rescued right away, and then it takes like 30 minutes for some reason. And so there's a setup with Little Mystique. Can we play that? Where she's pretending to be a little girl and talking to the guard.
Oh, that's right.
In the
Let me go. Please.
Keep it up. I'll spray you in the face, bitch.
When I get out of here, I'm gonna kill you myself.
You know, one time.
That was an 80-yard line.
Yeah, totally. One time when I was a kid, my neighbor used to mess with us around trick or treat, and they would give us like what we thought were big candy bars, and then we'd open them up, and they'd be like cobbled together shitty candy, like that you wouldn't want. You know, like so instead of a Snickers bar, it would be like 2 Almond Joys, and like so you thought it was just broken, and then you're like, you took the time to open this wrapper up, put your shitty candy in it, and seal it back up. And I remember finally the 3rd year in a row with this, I just looked at my neighbor and I said,
When I get out of here, I'm gonna kill you myself.
and let's just say I murdered them right before I left for Los Angeles. I didn't really. That didn't really
no,
happen.
it's okay if you did. No,
Yeah,
it's
whatever.
not. No, it's not.
It was
Not okay if you
justified.
did.
Justified.
I used to be a camp counselor.
Yeah?
And this is summer camp back in Missouri. Went Lake of the Ozarks. You ever heard of Lake of the Ozarks?
Yeah.
And I used to have fun with the kids. I was a counselor. You know, we were hanging out. I was down at the waterfront helping the kids swim, do the water trampoline, the blob, which was great.
Yeah.
And this one girl, I was kind of surprised. I just said, "Hey, be careful when you run, because you might slip and hurt yourself." And she just turned to me and said,
When I get out of here, I'm gonna kill you myself.
That would be unnerving. That'd be super unnerving.
"She was 7."
You know, yeah, the problem is that I used to have Super Soaker wars back in the day with in my neighborhood. We'd have Super Soakers, and it was guys versus girls. And the one time, the girls snuck up behind us and totally just cheated in the match, got me soaked, And I just got so mad at them that I turned around and I said,
I'll spray you in the face, bitch.
and apparently that's frowned upon in your your grade school life. So then my mom came out and washed my mouth out with soap. She dug the dial soap into my into my molars. It was pretty bad.
Ow, damn.
It's pretty bad.
Dug it into your molars.
Into my molars.
You still taste it a little bit?
A little bit.
I
It's
always
either that
did
or the
that.
emotional scarring from it that I still
like
taste.
Dove better. Dove wasn't better.
Dove was delightful compared to
Premium
Dial.
flavor.
So let's move on from this scene. So we got the trio of lame mutants that joined the Brotherhood, which we talked about a little bit in the 3-minute thing where that's the biggest gripe I have with this movie. There's so many awesome mutants they could have brought into the world, and instead they bring Porcupine Guy, Lady Flash, who can also sense mutants. Whatever
from across the globe, apparently?
Sure. She's a human.
I don't understand that.
She's a human Cerebro computer, basically, and she's Lady Flash. And then Androgynous Girl, who I think later on is called... What was it? Later on, she's called, like, Rock Slide or something like that, and she has the ability to...
Yeah, when she does the Shockwave.
Shockwave, maybe that's her name.
It's something like that.
It's so forgettable. They don't give her a line or a power. She does nothing in any of the fights until the very end when suddenly after everybody's being shot with the cure, she targets all their guns. It's like, why didn't you open with that?
I only knew that she was a female when she did that.
Yeah.
She goes, ah! And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there it is.
So then we basically, a bunch of stuff happens where oh my God, there's just like Jean Grey... I don't even know where to go with this.
She looks like she's been smelling a fart the whole movie. Let's be honest.
Yep. And Warren Worthington comes back in, and he's being strapped in to give the cure. And he's like, no, Dad, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And he crashes out.
That
His
shot.
shot where he goes...
When he gets out of the chair and he's like, ha ha! Shortly before,
It looks like something
okay,
from
dude.
like Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, like, here I am!
It does.
With my wings!
It's like he was about, I thought he was going to get on a box before he jumped out the window. And why, if he's doing that stance, why don't you stab him with the thing?
Exactly.
There's plenty of time.
And then he just breaks through the glass that apparently doesn't cut his shirtless body.
Or put a hole in any of his wings.
His wings are...
Or pluck a feather.
Did you know Angel can fly and is glass-proof?
I did know that, yeah.
Okay,
Very little known
that's in
fact.
the comics.
Yeah, no,
that's in the comics.
It's a post-credit scene in the comics.
Yeah. So Angel disappears. Magneto finally breaks out Mystique, the Juggernaut, and Maddox or Madrox, the Multiple Man, who is an X-Factor character in the comics, a huge character,
very small
who
in
is
this
delegated to just a distraction later on when the government comes and thinks they're busting the mutants, and it's just one guy, and he goes, "Oops, sorry, it's just me," and you're like, "That's McSteamy from Grey's Anatomy."
Yeah.
How do I know that? Because my wife used to watch the show.
It's okay if you
before it
watch
went
it.
off the rails. It jumped the
That's all
shark. So Juggernaut's first introduction.
We have that clip.
Oh God!
I
Can we
cannot
play
wait.
Juggernaut's "I Need to Pee"? Because this is how we're introduced to one of the best bad guys in comic book history and one of the baddest mother effers out there. This is his introduction via Brett Ratner.
What do they call you? Juggernaut. I can't imagine why.
You can let me out of here. I need a pee.
God damn it!
So
That makes me
intimidating.
so mad.
So intimidating.
They make him because this
You're
is
gonna let me on it, especially because they lead up to it like this motherfucker is gonna go off the rails. We're gonna open his cage and he's going to destroy everything in his sight.
Yep. What happened is that internet
I gotta pee.
that internet meme, which we'll get to in a little bit, ruined Juggernaut. It made him a joke, and they were like, "Oh, this will appeal to people. This will be funny." The "I need to pee" line is the dumbest way to introduce him.
Didn't even say I gotta piss.
You know what? There are times though where like I was on a roller coaster at Cedar Point, and I'd waited in line for 3 hours to get there. You can't get out to go to the bathroom or anything.
Yeah.
I'm in the front of the roller coaster. And then it goes through. It's fun and all, but not worth a 3-hour wait. Then we get back, and it stops right before they're going to let us off. And they're like, "We have about a 10-minute delay." And I just looked at him, and I said,
You can let me out of here. I need a pee.
Yeah.
Sure enough, they didn't. So I
oddly
just
enough-
pissed right there.
Oddly enough, this past weekend I was stuck in a bathroom.
Yeah.
And there was too many people, and I said,
You can let me out of here. I need a pee.
Yep.
and I found a roller coaster and took a pee on it.
I was in the. That's weird. That's
Yeah.
weird that you
It
found
was
a
the
roller
only thing
coaster.
close.
Whenever I go to the movies and I'm in the middle row, people like to just lounge and like just. And anytime you stand up, like I go maybe once during a movie. It's not like I'm going 5 times. That would be obnoxious. It's not like I have like incontinency issues. You know, it's just I had to go once during Captain America: Civil War.
Yeah.
I stood up. I found a slow part. I was like, this is just gonna be a character building scene or whatever. I can have my wife fill me in. I stand up and I go to walk, and the person next to me is not moving. They're not moving. They have their shit on the ground.
It's the kind of person like you have to bump into them before they move.
Yeah, and I'm like, excuse me, and they're not moving. And finally, I go,
You can let me out of here. I need a pee.
Yeah.
and then they're like, oh fuck, Vinnie Jones wants out of here.
Well,
Speaking of
let's-
that, Steven.
Yeah, lesser known fact
Yeah.
about the actor who played the androgynous man. You know,
Androgynous woman.
Androgynous thing.
Yeah.
They were in North Carolina recently, and they had to use the restroom, and they were stuck in a room trying to figure out what restroom to use to, and they yelled at the police officer standing there.
You can let me out of here. I need a pee.
There it is.
You got topical. You
Hey,
got hey,
Steven?
that was
Steven, can you open the door?
You can let me out of here. I need a pee.
it's we have been in here almost 45 minutes. I know how your
just
bladder
go.
is.
I'll just
I'll just
go
go
on
right
that
here.
I'll just go.
When I
So
get out of here, I'm gonna kill you myself.
that's what Zach says every episode.
I'm just glad you didn't play the spray all over his face line. That would have been weird after the pee, Zach.
Get me out of here. I have to pee. I'm gonna
talking.
What?
Look who's talking. That was actually a voiceover for the John Travolta, Kirstie Alley hit in the 80s.
Oh my God.
At the very end of
Yes.
it, it was like, ba-da-ba. It was like, I'm walking on sunshine. And then when the title card came up, it went,
Look who's talking.
That's it.
and it was a sexy way to be like, this movie's funny, but sexy.
You were gonna say, "Let me out of here. I need to pee."
Look who's
It's
talking.
like I don't remember that movie, but I
No,
will
I don't
watch it.
either. So then the big fight happens at the house, which actually Juggernaut beating Wolverine's ass is pretty cool. I like the shot where he throws him through the ceiling and he pops out from the other side.
Pretty great.
But then nothing else cool happens in that
Nope,
scene.
that's about it.
And Magneto's a super big dickhead in this scene. He's just like, Charles is trying to hold you back, Jean. Not again. And the eggs are on. We'll skip all this because Charles gets destroyed, like we said. He gets turned into confetti, CGI confetti.
We hear Magneto just say Charles the one time.
Yep.
Some ounce of dignity.
I actually wrote at one point, Bobby and Kitty go on a midnight ice skating trip right after Charles Xavier's funeral just to push Rogue to want the cure and leave. Fuck this
it.
movie. That's what I wrote. I wrote, fuck this movie. Because I was like, you just have this really epic, dramatic scene that's very forced and unnecessary to kill off a major character in such an abrupt way, but at least let it linger. And then suddenly it's like, we're just ice skating and budding romance.
Have Rogue go down there and kill him.
Yeah, it's something.
She's so pissed.
Rogue needed to get furious about it.
Yes.
And instead, they have this little romance that then, at the end, Rogue gets cured, and then they're holding hands again. And you're like, well, what about Kitty now?
Yeah. No,
Come
she's
on,
screwed.
what about that ice skating
She's
moment?
gonna date Juggernaut.
Oh, God. So now, then Magneto bonds with Jean, and they're out in the woods.
Which I don't, by the way, after Magneto, he goes up to her after she's destroyed everything, and he's like, "Come with me, my dear."
Yeah. Yes.
What
I'll
are
be
you
able
gonna
to
do
control
for
you.
her?
Yes. And then Warren Worthington shows up and is like, I was told this is a safe place for mutants. And you think, oh, they're going to bring him on the team. Nope, he's just going to hang around and eventually fly in to save his dad at the end and then disappear from the
God,
movie.
how quickly did they give up? Beast, what the shit? Charles Xavier died. Well, we should send everybody home. I hear this is a place for mutants. Not anymore.
Exactly.
You made the decision
Right
6
away.
seconds ago.
Right away. Well, we could continue on with Professor Xavier's dream that we've all been living for like 20 years now. Or he's dead. Fuck it. Let's just back
Fuck
up.
it.
You
Kill
know,
everybody.
You know how much money we can get for this school? It's in upstate New York. This shit is high value property. But then,
Flyboy.
oh my God, then I wrote, man, I am realizing nothing happens in this movie. And then
Nothing happens.
Logan takes a weird road trip to the woods, and he has a really tearful scene with Jean. And then Magneto pushes him through the trees, and like he just hits a whole bunch. He falls down like like a Looney Tunes cartoon, and that's supposed to stop him from being able to fall. Like,
How about that line?
it
What's
had
the
to
name
take
of his metal?
hours. Adamantium.
I could smell
I
the
can smell the
adamantium from
adamantium.
a mile away.
Exactly.
Really?
I think maybe
I don't
He has a
know.
good sense of smell. Don't get a lead pencil anywhere
Is
near
that
him.
part of your power?
In Brett Ratner's world, yep.
He's not resistant to glass, though.
Exactly.
Pencils!
Pencil! Ah! So the thing that drives me nuts about it, several things. Wolverine can heal very quickly, so
Yeah.
falling down trees isn't going to knock him out for an extended...
They're oak.
Oh, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. A very sturdy tree.
Right.
But that horde of mutants would have taken much longer to pack up and get their shit out of there than it would take for Wolverine to wake back up. And then the government comes and it's the multiple man. But let's get to the end. where
with the bridge?
Where first, before
Hell.
that, there's the Wolverine
What
pep
happened?
talk to the 6 mutants
Yes.
that every action movie
Yes.
ever needs, where there are 6 mutants against an army. And what does Wolverine do? He gives a sweet-ass 30-second pep talk. Can we
That's
play
right.
Wolverine's
There's
pep
only
talk?
6 of us, Logan.
Shut up, Bobby.
Yeah, we're outnumbered.
So good. How many sports
gonna lie
movies
to
have
you.
started that way? And war movies.
We lost Scott. We lost the professor.
Wow.
Any war
We
movie.
don't fight now. Everything they stood for will die with them. I'm not gonna let that happen.
Cue the music. Swell
Are
it a
you?
little.
And,
Swell the music a little more.
Put one single tear down.
And we stand together.
Storm's face.
X-Men.
Yep. Show a wide
And
shot of
woman,
all
there's a
this.
woman.
You let me out of here. I gotta pee.
Yeah.
It's that's a moment where if this was a good movie, would be super epic, and you'd be like, yeah, X-Men are together. But instead, you're just like, fuck, Jesus. It just
There's
feels like
something-
it's pieced together from every war and superhero movie ever
Yeah.
made.
There's something
lost
anticlimactic
these
about what
people.
he says. When he says that, he's like, hey, Scott's dead. And,
Yeah. Just
that
goes.
other wheelchair guy, cripple's dead. And,
I believe it's Professor Xavier.
And
I
that's
think
about
the-
it.
It's
Let's do this.
un-PC. Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. So
I
they're
think it's
gonna
about this time you're sitting there and you're just like, Brett Ratner.
When I get out of here,
That's
I'm gonna
right.
kill you myself.
That's right.
Then Magneto does the only thing Magneto can do at this moment. Instead of just, I don't know, getting on a ferry and going to Alcatraz, nope, he has to do a big show and lift up part of the bridge and connect it to Alcatraz, which I don't think it's long enough to line up directly. It's a long sequence of just like,
It's
and
so
everybody leaves the bridge except for one family
long.
that's just like,
Oh, this
"Ooh."
is magical.
And then later on,
Half
they
of
lock the
the-
door, which I thought was a hilarious detail.
We find out later on that half of his band of misfits can fly too.
Yep.
So
But
why
yeah,
not just?
apparently, yeah. That's what I wrote down. Is that pretty much the entire army of mutants can super jump? I was like, is that
Yes.
just their power? When they
Yeah.
land the bridge, suddenly they're all just like, attack! Boom! And they just all super jump. There's a
Yeah.
guy who can vomit lava. There's Porcupine guy. There's the guy who regenerates. And then
Yeah.
and Wolverine keeps trying to cut him, and he's like, come on! And then Wolverine kicks him in the nuts, and he's like, grow that back. And it's
Yeah.
like, what? Nobody gets defeated in an interesting way. Like a nut kick to a guy who can. Everything is so anticlimactic. Then the fight scene with Bobby and Pyro, it's just like they're blasting at each other,
Yeah, with
and
the-
then Bobby turns ice and then freezes his hands and headbutts him.
That's it.
That's it.
The best
That's it.
kill I think was when Jean Grey has like the 40 people and she's just like confetti,
Confetti!
and then all of them die. You're like, okay, damn.
I wish
Do
she
not
would
piss
yell
her off.
confetti.
Happy birthday!
I would like to play the clip with the build bridges because Magneto has a hilariously overt pun
Yeah.
about when he's bringing the bridge over to
Charles.
Worthington Labs. Can we play that?
Charles always wanted to build bridges.
Once again, in a good movie, I would completely be like, oh yeah, Magneto, oh yeah. But in this, you're like, God, fuck you, Brett Ratner.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
It's
Oh, the
terrible.
studios next to us hate us. It's fine.
It's fine.
And then the plane shows the
Hopefully Brett Ratner's not here.
Then the X-Men show up, and Beast has one of his lines that is key in the comics, Stars and Garters. He always says it. And in this, it's perfectly delivered by Kelsey Grammer, even though it seems wildly out of place. Can we
Yeah.
play Stars and Garters?
My stars and garters.
Oh my stars and garters.
You
Do
know,
it one more time, Zach.
Oh, my stars and garters.
we don't even have time to go on an improv with that, but it's fine.
Yeah. I also say that when I pull my pants off.
Yeah,
along with the other
oh my
thing.
stars.
Oh, my stars and garters.
That's what I say whenever I go to a 4th of July themed strip club.
Yes.
My stars and garters.
When I save $1 at the cash register.
Oh, my stars and
Yep.
garters.
We got to get into the Juggernaut is unleashed. Basically, the big plan Magneto had was to have this all-powerful mutant just hang back the entire time and do nothing during the entire fight. And he says, "That's why you let the pawns go first." And he just unleashes the super jump people. They all get annihilated by the cure.
porcupines.
They all get annihilated by the cure, and then androgynous woman comes out and goes shockwave and kills all their weapons. And you're like, oh. Why didn't you do that in the first place?
Because I think Magneto was kind of over the simpletons.
I think so. He just wanted to weed out the herd.
Yeah, he's kind of
Then
over
his next play is, all right, the 6 X-Men are kind of beating all 300 of us. So what if I start launching cars and Pyro explodes them? And that goes on for seemingly 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then finally the X-Men are like, here's how we stop him. Bobby, freeze one of the cars.
That's it.
And he'll just be like, okay, instead of just
I
being
should stop.
Instead of just being like, all right, I'll throw 30 cars now. He's like, well, damn it, foiled again.
But I think it is funny because
These X-Men
earlier
think of everything.
you see him like lifting semis left and
Yeah.
right, and this one he's like very carefully like
super lazy.
His hand, fire.
He's so lazy. Then he unleashes the Juggernaut, and there's a bowling sound effect. I don't know if you noticed this.
I did.
When he runs through a herd of good guys. Can we play that? Oh, God. Why? Who in... I bet that was a Brett Ratner thing. Like, guys, add a bowling sound effect.
Oh,
That would be great.
Christ.
And then we get to the worst sound clip of the movie, which was based on
Which
that
was that?
meme we were talking about around that time about Juggernaut, where Kitty Pryde phases him into the ground, and he's stuck there, and then he looks at her and says, the Juggernaut.
Don't you know who I am? I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
Yeah, that was in the pitch meeting.
Oh.
Imagine they're going over the table read,
It's just...
and somebody just says that out loud, and it makes it.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. On the Juggernaut, bitch! You know, I don't even know what to improv with that, because it just makes me
there's
so
obvious
sad.
testicle things that are potential, but you know.
You know, yeah.
I've said enough penis things tonight.
It's just some guy brought the viral video into the writer's room. Guys,
Guys,
watch this.
this had 1 million hits.
Watch this.
It's gonna go over like gangbusters. And
Brett,
I,
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
Brett, I can save your movie.
Brett.
This is how.
So then, basically, there's this. We already talked about most of the battle, and it ends with Wolverine. Yep, wrapping up. Wolverine runs interference. Beast cures Magneto with like 4 needles to the heart, and Magneto's just like, and
He's
they're like,
seizing.
You're
He's-
one of them now, and it's like, oh shit. And then out of nowhere, Phoenix finally does something. 10 minutes before the end of the movie, I clocked it. 10 minutes before the end of the movie, Phoenix is like. She's about to be good, and then all the humans show up with the cure, and she stops. They fire like 600 at her, and she stops it all, and then she's like, confetti! Confetti! And everybody's like, get out of here! And she does what she should have done.
Hide under something.
This is what should have been the plan in the beginning. Hey, Phoenix, you can control all of space, time, and everything and matter. How about you just lift us all up? We all fly over there. You disintegrate the entire building.
Game over.
And just disintegrate Jimmy, because we're going in there to kill him. Disintegrate the entire building. We'll just hop there. We'll go to Denny's, get a moon over my hammy. It'll be done.
That's it.
Like, it's all they had to do, but instead...
we have nothing else to do.
Instead, she just goes emo in the back the whole
I
time.
don't think Magneto really wanted to win.
Magneto didn't want to win, and he had no plan.
He really
He
wanted
was
to
just
play
like,
chess.
I'll
in
bring out the
Central
big
Park.
guns if I need to.
Yeah.
And at the end, she's just annihilating everything. And Wolverine, it's a cool effect where his skin keeps getting like burned off,
That
like
was neat. That was
T2
neat.
style.
Yeah.
And he's like, Jean, don't do this. And she has a moment of clarity and says, save me. And then he kills her. And that moment to me, in a good movie, would be so powerful because it's well done.
Yeah.
It's just it doesn't build to that at all.
No.
And then we're left with the aftermath.
So quickly.
It happens so quickly.
So fucking quickly.
Yeah.
Wolverine is like totally fine.
Yeah, just I gotta go. And then there's
He's like, I love you. Smash cut to him like walking outside the professor's house.
Just
like, it's a good day. All right.
I'm the headmaster. And I
He's a
imagine like a
jitterbug.
Bon Jovi song. This
That's
Jitterbug.
That's exactly what it's like. It's a grand old day for the X-Men.
Oh man!
Come on down and join.
We end on this like weirdly pseudo happy note where Professor X, Jean, and Scott are dead. Wolverine's and Storm are the new heads of the school. Rogue is back and cured, and now Bobby and her got how Rogue got her groove
She knows
back.
she can't stay, right?
I guess.
That's an awkward conversation.
Warren Worthington just flies by again as Angel for no reason.
Yeah.
To set up, to connect Magneto there. The chess piece moves slightly. You're like, oh shit, X-Men 4!
Yeah.
X-Men 4, he's back, and he'll actually have a plan this time.
I was hoping the post-credit scene was going to be to reveal there was just a strong wind that day.
That would be amazing.
Damn it! Shit! These are plastic.
Oh man! You know what? If ever you're at a loss for a bad guy line, or if you're ever in a fight and you want to intimidate somebody, just go the way of Juggernaut and just look at your rivals and just kind of puff up your chest rooster style and say,
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
I could not figure out a more perfect way to end this. I know we ragged on this movie a lot, but I think most of you would be offended if we didn't. It's not a perfect movie. There are fun moments. There are cool nods, but let's just say that X-Men movies have been done better in the past and present and future.
And let us know what you think of that new one.
Yeah, let us know what you think. Don't spoil anything, because I probably won't be able to see it till Monday. But please tweet at us. Let us know what you think of X-Men Apocalypse. Let us know what you thought of X-Men The Last Stand. If there's anyone out there who thought X-Men The Last Stand is the best X-Men movie, please give us your dissertation on the YouTube comments. Or tweet at us. We really want to hear that. Yeah. I want to hear the theory behind that and why anyone would think that. Also, give us some suggestions for next week. Anything, we're always open for suggestions. Review us on iTunes, that always helps. Follow us at Guilty Movie Guys, all that good stuff. Cameron, where can they find you?
At The Only Camshaft, Twitter and Instagram, Ben Begley.
At The Ben Begley. And guys, we are like a week and a half away from the Funhouse Massacre coming out. And then it'll only be a couple more weeks and I'll stop talking about it, I promise. It comes out June 7th. We have a BitTorrent bundle going on right now where you can see the first 10 minutes of the film. You get to download an international trailer, 10-minute kill montage of mayhem.
Wow.
You get 31 stills from the set and alternate posters and music tracks. It's a big, awesome bundle, and all you have to do is sign up with your email. That's it. You go to bittorrentbundles.com and you search the Funhouse Massacre, put your email in, it just adds you for updates. It's not like we're going to spam you. But you get a bunch of cool stuff. You can get a taste for the film, and then if you want to pre-order it or put it on your wish list, that helps. Any little bit helps. So thank you so much for supporting. You guys have been awesome. And until next time, what is your guilty movie pleasure?
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Christian Harloff, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!